All right, welcome after the lunch. Hope you had a good break. And now it's time to continue with our talks. And please remember about asking the question on the Slack. And also, if you hear anything that is important, if you think anything that is something interesting, please share it on the Slack, but also please share it on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or any other tool you're using, like Tinder. Whatever works for you, that is the right place to share. Now, one thing that we were trying to limit, or sorry, to simulate with Gather tool is to have a chance to have a conversation with other people during the breaks. And one of the great things about the conferences, the real life conference, is that we can have a conversation with each other. So like 2 years ago in Vienna during the Scrum gathering, I think the biggest conference for the Scrum enthusiasts. I had a chance to have a conversation during the breakfast with Kiro, and basically from the whole conference, with all due to respect to all the speakers, that was the most interesting thing that happened during this conference. So I'm super excited that Kiro decided to join us, especially that is late afternoon at his time, and he should be probably drinking sake by now. And he's one of 2 people during this conference that know Toyota from inside, not just from the book or the videos, but really deeply from inside. So I'm extremely happy to have you here, Kiro. Welcome, and the stage is yours.
Okay, thanks for the introduction, Thomas. So, Jing Dolby. Okay, that's the only Polish I know. So, I hope you had a good lunch, and then I suppose it's a little bit sleepy time, but I hope this talk will give you an idea how the real Kaizen would be like, and then have an idea utilizing the original idea to make your work better. Okay, so start with this word, Kaizen. It's written in Japanese. So in Chinese, we share the characters. We draw the characters same way. So the first character is Kai, top character. It's for the change. The bottom one is goodness. So change for good thing. That's a word for Kaizen. So this is translated into English, the continuous improvement. So it's actually very profound translation. I will explain later. So I'd like to know you to understand what Kaizen is, and then actually start utilizing the idea into your work from tomorrow. So I'm Kiro Harada. So I'm an agile coach doing a domain modeling and supply chain consultant. So I started as a chemical engineer, and then I started working on quality assurance, and then I do a lot of process improvement stuff in the factory. And at that time, the software system was a real pain in our neck. So it takes so much time to change, to adapt with the changes in the factory. So I decided to take the career of a software engineer to understand how we can develop software adaptively. That brought us to Scrum. So I started working Scrum in 2004 and working on it. So recently, I joined the project about creating an e-Kanban system, which is used for Toyota suppliers to supply auto manufacturing parts into it. And that brought us the idea of how the Kaizen is implemented there. For the whole TPS or the Toyota Way staff, we have a great speaker at the end of today, Jeffrey Riker. I really looking forward to his talk as well. But this time we talk about Kaizen here. So Kaizen is about continuous improvement. But your situation is different from others. So each team, each process, each machine, everything is different. So is it really possible to teach how to do Kaizen? That's the question. So there's a similar thing. So many times in software, we write down all the requirements of that implement. And then the question is it possible to teach how to ride a bicycle? Is it? Or then the question, change the question a little bit. Is it possible to teach how to teach a kid to ride a bicycle? So we are not actually teaching how to ride a bicycle, but we are teaching how to teach riding a bicycle. Actually, you can. So here's the instructions. So if you have a small kid, okay, 3 years is good enough. So I have 3 kids, but all three of them start riding a bicycle without any training wheel at the age of 3. So the thing is that you have to protect your kid. So wear a helmet or other protective gears. When the kid falls and starts braces, they're discouraged. So be safe. And then choose proper size of field, size of the bicycle. So not to try to make a too big one. So kids grow fast. So kids' bike can be in a good size for just about a year. But the good size is that your kids can reach both foot to the ground firmly. And then first thing is remove the pedals. So there's a bicycle without pedals for training purpose. It is good too. And then find a large field and hopefully with a slide slope, and then ask the kid to balance without touching the ground for as long as possible. So usually the kid can ride about 5 minutes in 10 or 20 minutes. So it's very quick. So once your kid can ride 5 meters without touching the ground, it's a good time to teach them how to use brake, how to stop. And then attach pedals. And then your kid now can ride a bicycle. So it usually takes about an hour. So if you have a kid who cannot ride a bicycle right now, try it. So the key is that, so people usually give kids training wheels, like the picture on the right, or sometimes the parents want to hold the back of the bicycle. It is a bad thing. It prevents the kids learn how the bicycle moves. So it slows the learning down. The good thing is that like this, so wear a helmet. Yeah, kids feel good. And then wear long sleeve shirt and trousers. And then see a right one. So there's a pedalless bike. And then kids quickly learn how to ride a bicycle. So I will try to teach how to teach Kaizen here. So I will try to see so if that works or not at the end of the talk or at the Slack question and answer channel. So let's see how it works. Okay, move on. So I like to see, so why Kaizen is important. So Kaizen is about making the process more effective and efficient. So by doing a continuous improvement, so we keep the efficiency continuously much better. So you see the Toyota, it was a great example of the continuous improvement. So it was a small company. And then it was almost at bankrupt. But by making the full utilization of their factory and fully continuously improve their processes, they have become the most productive car company now. And then have now become the largest number of car manufacturing right now. In that way, so using a continuously improving it, the process difference, process efficiency has been much bigger. So the key is continuous. So you have to keep improving all the time. But how? But so I will, at this time, I'd like to ask some questions. So continuous improvement here is talking about the company, talking about the process, talking about the team. But how about your case? So is it too doing Kaizen? Or is it your organization? Or is it your company? Maybe you're the government. So how is it going? Are you improving? Okay, in that case, so your personal case, how about yourself at work? Are you doing Kaizen or are you getting better? Or are you busy to do Kaizen? Yeah, many people are saying that they're too busy to do some work for Kaizen, but that's why you don't have much time for it. So Kaizen is about making you more effective and efficient so that you can have more time to do other things. So let's see how it's going on. So the word continuous means you have to do Kaizen always. You have to do Kaizen timelessly, and you have to do Kaizen endlessly. So there's no perfect team, perfect process, perfect product. There's always a room to improve. So you have to do again and then again and then again. So you have to do 100 times, 1,000 times, million times more. How can you do that? So then do you remember the commercial, the curve-shaped sports brand saying, do more? So it's a little false assumption that if your product or process was not good enough, so people tend to try to do more. Or if something didn't work, they try to add something to change it. So, but by adding or keep doing more of the processes, you consume more time, you consume more your energy, you consume more your resources. So it can never be continuous. So doing more not always lead to better result. Doing more usually result in worse result. So do you know, so most of the professional athletes have a coach. Why do they have a coach? Because overtraining, doing too much training is the #1 cause of the failure. So we need a coach stop the athlete from doing too much. And then here the heart rate monitor and as other power monitors. We need external devices, how we are doing. So otherwise, we tend to do more, and then we tend to break ourselves. That's bad. So why not? Shall we do the same thing in the business? So business thing, so if something is wrong, don't do more. The first thing you have to stop. So then the first good example of Kaizen you see in a lot of textbook about TPS and Lean, there's a Loom fabric making machine called Type Z. It was created in 1924, almost 100 years ago. So it is an automatic loom machine, but it was very special at that time. So it is a powered one. So you need at that time you used steam power. to make the loom running. But loom have always had a problem. So since there are so many threads to create a fabric, we eventually have the thread breaking. And then if one of the thread is broken, you have a unevenness in a fabric, and then you cannot sell at the full price. So when running the loom, you have to watch the loom all the time so that if one of the thread is broken, you have to stop it and then fix the thread and restart. But the loom is getting faster and faster. Even though you notice immediately and stop it, some of the parts are wrong, you have to throw away. So you have to have a certain length of the fabric to be sold. So you have the errors in between. The quality of the fabric goes down really badly. So then, what's special about this loom? So it's a special feature of this loom, it automatically stops. If any of the thread is broken, it stops, and then actually it signals the operator, okay, one of the thread is broken, come here and fix it. And then the operator came in, fix it, and restart it. So it continues creating good fabric. Before it has a feature to stop, our operator have to watch the loom continuously. You can never go to the bathroom. You can never go for smoking. You can never go to the coffee. You have to watch the loom all the time. Or you have to stop the loom, but where the productivity goes down. After having the automatic stopping loom built in, a single operator can operate 60 looms at the same time, which is much easier, right? So before automatic stopping here, you have to watch the loom all the time. You can never take a break. But having a little bit intelligent loom, actually the loom is checking if the quality of the product is good enough. So if the quality problem happens, it automatically stops. It saves a lot of work. So it's a good example of Kaizen. So then it's a time for a bad joke. So I think there are a lot of programmers here, right? You have write a code. So how many of you have kept writing new code, even though your existing code have bugs, failures? You may be less intelligent than this machine. So be intelligent, stop it, fix the problem, and then continue. Okay. All right. So if your Kaizen is not continuous, yeah, you are probably trying to fix problem by doing more of it. Or you may try to fix problem by adding additional feature. And you may believe doing more will fix the problem. So that's the assumptions we like to fix here now. So your Kaizen have to make your work easier and safer. So are you improving? So please test yourselves. Is your Kaizen continuous? Is your Kaizen can be done again and again, timelessly, endlessly? Okay. Even though I asked the question, I teach that Kaizen is, I have to confess, I was not. I actually enjoy working very hard. I travel a lot. I traveled twice a month outside Japan, and then I did a lot of workshop, training, coaching. I didn't sleep much because it was fun. I feel energetic. So I didn't feel very bad about it. So I felt I was okay. Then the result was this. Yeah, I was hospitalized almost 2 months. because working too much. So we Agile coaches teach client teams inspect and adapt, but inspecting ourselves is a bit hard. So get help to inspect our condition. So healthy programmer is a good help. And then after that, so I was wearing a sleeping monitor. So there's a saying that you cannot manage what you cannot measure. It's a false statement. It's a costly myth, as Deming said, but it's much easier to measure. It's to manage something. So I started managing my sleeping time. So I sleep a lot. So that improved my health much after that. So before trying to improve your team process product, so try to improve your condition. It's a kind of prerequisite. Okay, so let's start moving on. Okay, I have used 20 minutes already. So then one of the things we like to work on it's about eliminating waste. So eliminating waste, a kind of mantra on TPS and Lean. But people usually do not discuss about where waste come from. So in TPS, in a Lean thing, waste coming from unevenness coming from overload. So if you are working a lot of time, so there's some of the work in progress then, so there's an unevenness of the workload. And then unevenness accumulates, and then you have to create a lot of intermediate stuff that usually tend to waste. So our target of the Kaizen is eliminating muri, overload. Take the load down. It's one of the target. So if your team is overworking, it's the first target to eliminate. So then you have a time to work on it. So please start fixing overloading of the team at the starting of the team. So then we can start about Kaizen. Okay. 20 minutes past. Okay, about 15 minutes. Okay, let's start. So, but from where shall we start the Kaizen thing? The first thing first, when we start doing Kaizen, we need to create Slack. Slack is sometimes we do not do work. So if there's no Slack, it's a really bad thing. It's harm a lot of stuff. So overtraining outreach harm the performance. So we need a good Slack. In manufacturing, in the mechanical engineering, we need some of the gap that is not fully fixed together. The gap or slack that is necessary to move the machinery smoothly, the gap is called play. We need some play or we need some slack. So if your team is working very hard, please stop sometime and then stop doing all the tasks. So then sometime to inspect how you are doing, what you are doing. One of the jokes is saying that you cannot fix your shoelace while running. You fall badly. Stop, fix the shoelace so that you can run fast again. So, you know, there's a andon code in a factory. If you pull the thing, there's an andon lamp going on, and then you stop the whole line. So if something is wrong, if the process keeps going, it may produce another product, another problem, or it may be dangerous. So it is very important to stop the line. So this picture is not actually a factory. this is a bus in the United States. So there's a line in the bus. All the passengers can reach it. And then if you pull the line and then signal flashes, and then driver will stop the bus at the next stop. It's the same thing. Yeah, right. So Slack reduces math, it's a literal law, it's mathematics. But so we are working in a software development project. So how can you stop your team? Can you stop the team? So then there's a good tool to stop the team here. So this is my favorite tool. It's ice cream. So buying the number of ice cream together, and then they'll tell all the team member ice cream is melting. So then it stops all the people working and get together. So then it's a time to inspect how your work is going on. Scrum has a specific time for stopping. That is called retrospective. The people tend to skip the retrospective in a Scrum, but it's a mandatory. It's a good chance to stop the line, stop the work, so that you can inspect how your work is going. So then, if you stop the line, that's a slack time, get the team together. So then the team can start talking about all the stuff. But you don't have to really focus on what to talk in a diagnostics. It is important to have a time the whole team can chit chat together. So everybody stop at the same time. That's the key. And then eventually the team start talking about the quality of the product, quality of the process, quality of the other things as well. So then the next thing we can do is agreeing on issues. So usually team have the desire, what the team want to be, what the product would be better. And then discussing about what kind of problem the team want to fix. So that's a good thing to discuss. So people actually other Kaizen techniques are talking about the solutions first. We have to do TDD, or we have to improve the quality. We have to do Scrum better. We have to CI/CD. We have to do DevOps. But are they real problems? So I sometimes show the picturized diagram like this. It's a facts versus opinions. It's a problem and solutions. So the lack of, okay, we have to do TDD more, we have to do Scrum better, we have to do CI/CD or other thing. It's talking about the solution opinions. So it's a kind of opinion that solution will solve our problem, but we are not really talking about the problem. So then, even though your team is getting better, even though you're doing a Scrum perfectly, I don't call it perfect, but your problem process, because lack of solution is not the problem. So please avoid to describe the problem as a lack of solution. Instead, observe, measure problem, and describe what's happening. It's good to have everybody stop working and then share observation, and then it becomes much easier to observe, agree in the Oshi's team want to solve. Okay, it's a little bit quicker after this. And then it's a good time to draw a value stream. So how your product delivered to the customer, and then when and how your customer appreciate your product. So what and the process necessary. And then we can measure time between them. So how you organize your work, or how you organize your value. After having a value stream, so it's a good time to create a skill matrix. So it's a skill matrix from the manufacturing side, but these, okay, columns describe the skill, but it matches the skills necessary for each value stream process. So by having a skilled engineer, skilled person in the team, we made sure that the team has a cross-functional skill sets for the value stream the team is taking care of. So it's a kind of matching a value stream and skill matrix. So then we can start doing small experiments. So make it a very small one. And then discuss the result with every Slack, every periodical Slack you have, and then discuss with it. So I think it's a kid playing with soap bubbles, and then changing colors, changing the pipe of soap, and then which one can make a bigger soap bubble or a longer lasting soap bubble. And then a good way is visualize it. So here's it is a visualization example. It's a ebook shared by LeanPub. So Jimmy Janland is a crisp Agile coach, create a list of Agile visualizations. You can take a look at it. So of course, the metrics is a good way to visualize it. But even though you cannot measure metrics, there's a lot of way to visualize it. Then you have the visualization everywhere. It's easier to fix the problem. Oops, 30 minutes passed. Okay. So one of my favorite visualization is about the interruptions. Do your team get interrupted very often? My favorite way of visualization is if the team is interrupted, create a Post-it note and then write down the contents of interruption on a Post-it note, and then attach the picture of the who interrupted, the face of the manager, and then put in the wall of the teams. So you see in a few months, you see the change of the behavior of the interrupters. You can do the same as Milo or Mural or other things too. So visualization, so if you see it, it changes the behavior. And then when running experiment, you can do one by one. So don't try to do many experiments at the same time. One by one, make your efficient faster enough. So if you are very experienced, you can do good experiments. You can try set-based design. It's a college window of the Cambridge University. The top is Venn diagram. The lower one is Latin square. It's a design technique of the experiment. So cutting the number of design experiment to get a better result. So you can learn it with it. The other thing is that the ECLS, please remember, it's a standard way of Kaizen. So if your process is good, okay, you are sure that you are creating good result. The first thing try is eliminating, stop doing something to see if the result changes. By stop doing that, okay, you use less time, you use less resource to get the same result. But if you don't have a good quality checking, you cannot eliminate it. So eliminate is the best kind of Kaizen. You do less to deliver the same. Okay. The other one is combining. So if your process is going back and source, why don't you do together? We used to create acceptance criteria separated from product backlog. Why don't you create acceptance criteria at the same time? It's much better. It changes the way of working. The other is rearranging. So if you find the problem at the later process, that works rework again and again. Why don't you do the work at the front period? So ATDD is one of the way doing this. But if you are reviewing at the end of the design, at on the delivery thing, can you do the reviewing at the front? Probably that reduces the rework and then make the whole process much easier. The other is simplify one. So we are really bad at branches. We are bad at conditionals. When we're working on the conditionals in programming, we create a lot of bugs. So instead of doing branches, do everything as the same way. It becomes much simpler. The other thing is that if you have a problem of the quality, you have to analyze it. And then you create a way to detect the problem as early as possible. So this is a diagram of the motor vehicle brake. So there's a brake pad, stop the wheel. But if the brake pad are gone, the car cannot stop. So many people are killed after the brake pads are gone because the car could not stop. So then we create a brake pad that put the metal pin inside the brake. So before we're fully worn, the brake pad starts creating a bad noise because there's a metal pin inside it, and then it scratches the disc. So then the car started creating a huge uncomfortable noise, and then the driver brings the car to the repairer. So it saves the life. So detect the problem as early as possible. So this is one of the way. So if you can detect it, so create the process that produces only good quality product. By doing that Kaizen thing, your process is stably unstable. Your process is changing gradually all the time. So that's a good thing. So even though the situation changes, even though the context changes, even though the other changes, your team, your process is adaptive enough to keep producing good quality product. Oops. Lost audio. Do you hear me? Okay. Sorry for that. So then this time, it's a good time to write document. About this Kaizen is done, your process is pretty much optimized. So that it's a good time to write document to become a reference for other teams. This is how the standard or other way are created. Instead of creating a standard, just write down the good approaches, ideas, so that other teams can learn from you. Okay, so then you have a way to it. You can work together to teach other people, other team, probably the team next to you or colleague next to you, how to do improvement. And then you can share. It's some old Scrum gathering picture. So we'll bring in our experiments of the Kaizen together and share the ideas. And then after the sharing together, we bring back the idea to try out the experiment again, and then to see how it works. So then share with it. So at the end, the TPS thing, there's a book called Toyoda Kata. It's a Mike Loder's book. But it's a good book that Mike Loder actually didn't work in Toyota. What he did was he learned the process at Toyota factory, and then he brings back his university, and then he tried at his client factory. And then it worked. So then he wrote about the Toyota Kata, how Toyota improves. So try yourself and how it works, and then share with other teams. So that result in the continuous improvement. So you help others to improve, and then you get a lot of help from continuous improvement. Yeah, that's a kind of whole picture of the continuous improvement here. So I will share the slides pretty soon enough to take a look at it. So at the end of the talk, okay, I almost talked 40 minutes. So where Kaizen is come from? So Kaizen is not actually from Toyota. So Kaizen is from TWI, Training Within Industry. It's a US wartime labor administration program, where during World War II, the US wanted to train housewives to be a good factory worker quickly and safely. So this is the title of the TWI program. And then it consists of JI, JM, JL, job instructions, how to teach, how to do it, job methods, how to improve how you work, and job relations, how to relate to other people. And then on top of it, there's a purpose on it, to make your work easier and safer. Yeah, that's the purpose of Kaizen. And then after the World War II came in, the US brought the TWI program to Japan. They create a movie. The movie is called Improvement in 4 Steps. It is translated in Japanese, Kaizen Edo 4 Dankai, when Toyota started using the word Kaizen. The trick is that Toyota never created the Kaizen itself, but the Toyota did keep learning from others and then testing by themselves and then sharing the idea with others. Okay, so at the end, I'll talk about the health stuff. Health is stated as complete physical, mental, and social well-being, not only the absence of disease or infirmity. So please be healthy for yourself, for your team, for your organization. And then Kaizen would be a good help to keep your health at the different level. Okay, that's almost the end of the talk. The question is, do you have Slack? Do your team have Slack? Do your organization have Slack? If not, start small immediately. So 15 minutes per day works, 1 hour per week. And then you stop working and then get the team together, start discussing what Kaizen you want to see in your work. And that will help you to implement the continuous improvement, all the working location organization and your team and yourself. Okay, that's the end of the talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I was trying to unmute myself. First of all, thanks for all those details about the Toyota. I always enjoy them. I have a few questions myself. I mean, I have a ton of questions myself, but I'm going to start with just few, given that we have just a few minutes left. And the very first one is like one of the things I've had. I mean, it took me a while to learn is that Lean or Toyota production system is about doing less, not about doing more. This is what you start basically saying. So I believe this is something like one of those training wheels we have in software development that we're trying to apply more processes rather than removing some processes. So my question is, do you have any other examples of those training wheels, so things people, try to use to help them, but instead of helping the team or the organization, they slow the learning process down?
So yeah, since currently the process or product has become too large, and then there are so many scaling frameworks that scales the problem first. So first thing first, we really recommend to produce a small product in a small timeline. I really recommend the team, especially newly hired, so create a sub-project different from the ordinary work, and then spare about 20% of the time, okay, say 1 or 2 hours per day, and then as a team create the product. So create the backlog by yourself, and then try to sell someone. See, since they do not have much time, they do not have much resource, they will try to create, but they like to create a good product. So it's a good training wheel. And then compare that simplest working process and the current working process. And then we can ask, is this process really add value to the customer?
So rather, yeah, so what you're saying, rather start small than trying to do the whole flip of the whole organization at the same time. This what we've seen often.
So changing the whole organization at the same time never work. Yeah, I've seen so many companies trying to do it, it failed. So the key is that the team grows, the organization grows, also the product grows. We cannot actually cut down and shake down all the things. We cannot do that. So what we can do is retrain. So we have a chance to grow other way. And then it takes time. But actually, so creating an environment, team organization can grow with Kaizen, with doing less. Actually, it's much faster.
Yeah, and it looks so nice on the PowerPoint slides when someone tells you that you're going to change the whole organization in 3 months. So it's, you know, it's tricky.
So if the CEO got fired every year or every 2 years, they cannot think for longer term, but your organization live much longer. So so you do not ask your kid, since your current work is really bad, stop everything and change everything different. No, you cannot do that. Yeah, we understand what kind of skills, what kind of training he got, and then are you interested in getting other direction, getting other training? So it's a gradual thing, everything, but it's actually faster.
All right, so I have just 2 minutes left, so I'm gonna ask one more question, and the other we need to continue over a beer somewhere in Europe or in Japan. So the second one is, you said about, okay, when you have a problem, you should stop as a team. Now, what I'm seeing is most of the teams are so busy firefighting the problems they have created that they don't have a time to stop. So how do you, except for the ice cream, which is a great idea, how do you stop the team? How do you help them to stop to solve the problem?
Yeah, actually, so one of the things is that I sometimes kidnap the whole team to somewhere else. So remove the team from the office. So since it's a remote work, it has become a little bit difficult, but I probably try to get the one team completely offline for a week. And then start working on it, how to do it. So it's exactly the same thing I've heard about Silicon Valley Ventures, since they're far behind the schedule. And then the one of the VP came into the office, or we go to the mountainside this weekend. And then the people were told that they keep working on the developing of the mountainside. But actually, the VP brought in the beer and wine. That okay, stop working. And then talk after completely stop the work, talking about what is really necessary for the product to be released. So it's a kind of shocking to stop the line. So even Toyota have a stop the line. So their NUMI factory in the US could not supply for the first year. So it needs a system, it needs a good help. But once the team understand, they can stop, and then we can actually analyze how to fix the situation. They know there's a signal to stop the thing. One of the things, the other pink room is talking about the elephant in the room, right? So yeah, there's a similar thing in my company all the time. So if the discussion going some wrong way, so somebody have to say there's a moose on the table. And then if other people agree with that, a moose on the table, and then the meeting will stop 5 minutes, take a break, and then come back, start discussing what the problem are we discussing.
All right.
So stopping the work has a huge power in that. So let's agree.
Okay, so we got two new patterns. One is moose on the table, and the second is kidnapping the team, which is a great idea, because it seems that the moment we need to stop is basically the moment it's hard for us to stop. Anyway, it's 9 p.m. in Japan right now.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to close and we are going to have a 5 minutes break. Please remember to give feedback and see you back in 5 minutes. Also, Kiro is on Slack, so you can ask him the question or join the Talk Kiro HARADA channel, so you can ask directly the question there. He might not be able to answer them now, but he may be able to answer them tomorrow morning. Thank you once again, Kiro.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much. So it's very happy joining you here. So hopefully next year I will physically join you. Thank you very much.